say yes to the goodness. I say yes to love. I say yes to abundance raining down from up above. I say yes. I say yes. I say yes. I say yes to forgiveness. I say yes to God. I say yes to the moment bringing me such positive thoughts. I say yes. I say yes. I say yes. No to the darkness, no to the fear, no to the voices that scream about despair. I say yes to the glory, to the light, yes to the voices that sing out with might. We sing yes, we sing yes, we sing yes. I say yes to surrender. I say yes to grace. I say yes to the beloved looking back at me with my face to face. I say yes to acceptance and yes to faith. I say yes to the lessons I'm learning how to grow through all the pain. I say yes, I say yes, I say yes. But no to the darkness, no to the fear, no to the voices that scream about despair. I say yes to the glory, to the light, yes to the voices that sing out with mine. I say no to depression, no to the rant, no to the voices that tell me that I can't. I say yes to authentic, yes to the truth, yes to the laughter, yes to you. I say yes, I say yes, I say yes, I say yes, I say yes. Say yes, 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 yeah, yes. I just wanna live in a joyful world. All I wanna be is a happy girl. I say thank you for a joyful world. Thank you for being a happy girl. Yeah, I just wanna live in a joyful world. All I wanna be is a happy girl. A happy girl. Yes.
Thank you, Amy Steinberg, for your amazing yes. Amy is not physically present with us this morning. She is in Ashland, North Carolina, and she's always so generous whenever we ask her, Amy, could you, record a little something for us? And she always says yes. So we're grateful for her, and I'm determined that one of these fine days, Amy is going to be here. In the meantime, I'm saying yes to all of the good things that have been happening already this morning, saying yes for the graciousness of Reverend Sonia getting us started, saying yes to the amazing prayer power of Robert Williams. I'm saying yes to our senior and founding minister, Reverend Dr. Andriette Earl, for all that she is doing. She was here earlier making a few announcements, as some of you know, and she has scampered off to be in the world. And that's a good thing, because we want our minister in the world. Reverend Andriette Earl is on an ascendancy that is much to be desired. She is much in demand, and we want her out there stirring it up, saying yes at such a time as this. Now, I'm also saying yes to a particular energy and enthusiasm that is sweeping this country and has been sweeping it for about a week. I'm saying yes, and I need to say that as your, minister in the pulpit this morning, that I am not endorsing or promoting any candidate or campaign from this pulpit. That would not be mine to do. But there is something that I'm here to do, and that is to call you out. I'm calling you out to vote. I'm calling you out to have those conversations with your families, your friends, your co-workers. Talk to them graciously about voting. We all have a major stake in this election. This election is unlike any national election that we have seen in this country before. Gone are the days when we can sort of sit idly by and say, well, there are enough people voting. They don't really need my vote. Yes, we do. We need every single vote. So go out there and vote. And I want to, if I may take just another moment or two at this, offer a special appeal to those who have a little bit more gray in their hair, the moms and dads, aunts and uncles, and other esteemed elders. If there are young people in your life, I want you to know that since the 2020 election, about 8 million people have come of age and are now eligible to vote. That's a big number. And it's not like I'm asking you to talk to them about the issues or the candidates. Believe me, they are well informed. Far more so than I was when I first became eligible to vote. They have their own channels of communication, and believe me, they are talking. But where they could possibly use your support is in things that they might not have had to think about before, like how to register to vote, where the polling place is, and what polling precinct they're in, or maybe even how to vote by mail. Those sorts of things. Have those gracious conversations because we need them. Yes? Yes. Yes. Obviously, I'm swept up in this topic, but I need to get to my topic today. And let me, start properly. First of all, good morning, heart and soul. It is so wonderful to see all of you this morning, all of you who are so beautifully arrayed in our sanctuary here at 5811 Racine Street in beautiful Oakland, California. And for our love streamers who are joining us online, joining the live stream, thank you so much for being part of Heart and Soul. And I'm doing just as Dr. Andriette described earlier. If you are watching, you are part of Heart and Soul, because we know that there are lots and lots of opportunities to do all kinds of things with a Sunday. And I mean, you could be watching the Olympics, for example, and yet you chose to be here. You chose to be joining with like minds and souls to experience some aspect, of healing. Whatever it is that has been accompanying us through the previous week up to today, sometimes we need to just be among those who want to talk about the goodness of God so we can be grounded again. Am I right about that? I know that last week I was particularly grounded when we had, as our minister of record, Reverend Marquita Pierre McAllister, who is the co-chair of the Ministers' Council for Centers for Spiritual Living. Now, not only did she come and deliver a particularly powerful message, she also was our musical inspiration. She blew the doors off the hinges, peeled the paint back on the wall. By the time she was finished with us last Sunday, some of us were just, floating and bumping our heads on the ceiling. It was just that powerful. And she spoke at length about a core spiritual principle, but in fact, 2 core spiritual principles. She spoke about faith, and she spoke about forgiveness. And what was really interesting to me is how she framed her talk. She said that forgiveness is actually a subset of faith. And I'm not going to restate her talk, but I was struck by the fact that, she may have something there that often these spiritual principles are kind of linked in a way. They're like a little couplet. Now, is one a subset of the other? Well, I don't know. Ministers, I think, are kind of like, the story of the 5 blind clerics who are gathered around an elephant, each one touching a different part of the animal and then trying to describe, from their perspective, what an elephant must be like. Ministers are like that. We are busy trying to describe that which is formless, invisible, and intangible, and has everything to do with ultimate reality, including our being here and that which is ours to be, do, and have. And, how do you do that without drawing from metaphors and setting up hierarchies in your own mind, or however you do it? However you do it, I was inspired by Reverend Marquita to also talk about a spiritual principle, core spiritual principle. In fact, I was leaning in this direction. The core spiritual principle I wanted to talk about was not forgiveness, thanksgiving. Reverend Marquita talked about forgiveness, but she even lifted up in her talk. She said, "Yeah, it's one of those kind of subjects that everybody goes, oh man, forgiveness again. Well, Thanksgiving again, yes, because it's important. It's more important than you know." And as I went about trying to frame the talk and seeing how I was going to approach it, I also noticed that the daily read in our collection of inspirational readings from 365 Days of Richer Living by Reverend Doctors Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. I should know, I've been reading this book for years. The talk title is I Give Thanks. And I thought, that's perfect. It fits in perfectly with Thanksgiving. And so I thought, well, let me take a look at the writing for today. And when I was looking at it, I noticed something. Yeah, have you ever had the experience where you encounter something that you've seen or experienced a million times, and it doesn't really register with you as something special or something extraordinary? And then on the 1,000,001st time that you see it, you go, wait a minute, what was that like that? Like that? Well, all right then. I didn't know it was like that. That happened to me as I was looking at the topic, I give thanks. Now, what you see before you is just the first paragraph of the talk. My intent, not the talk, but the topic, my intention is not to take you through that entire reading. I advise that you get the book or go online and look this up for yourself. But what I noticed that kind of gave me pause is just what you see in red. This is the first paragraph. It's only 5 sentences long. The first and the third sentence begin the exact same way. Praise and thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, all right. There's nothing kind of unusual about that, but there was something at the back of my mind going, well, why praise and thanksgiving? I mean, the topic title is I Give Thanks. Why can't it just be Thanksgiving? Why does praise seem to be glommed on here? And it occurred to me that, well, maybe this was kind of like an editing thing. Maybe an editor missed it. But then again, this was written by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker, 2 of the most brilliant minds in the history of New Thought, 2 great synthesizers. It's not likely that they missed it, and it's not there on purpose. And also what came up for me is that this isn't the first time I've seen praise and thanksgiving strung together. And at my house, we have a plethora of books, my wife Betty and me. And I decided to just pick out a few books. I've got an enormous spiritual collection spanning ancient texts going back to the Holy Bible, the Prashita, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Mahabharata, and other texts about Kabbalah, and you name it, spanning all of the major religions, going through the entire span of time over the last, 2,500 years or less. And I said, let me just pull out a few books and look up Thanksgiving, since they all seem to touch Thanksgiving one way or another. And I was stunned. And I said, wait a minute, this is too much of a coincidence, because I kept seeing praise and thanksgiving. So then I said, I know what I'll do. I'll go on Kindle. See, I have even more books on Kindle. And I went into Kindle, and it's easy to do a search in Kindle because it's online. And, well, let me just show you an example of what I encountered. I want to show you this curious entanglement of praise and thanksgiving. All this slide is showing is 8 sample quotations that I found in all kinds of texts. Now, I really looked at about, I'd say 100 to 130 examples. And I could have done more. Ernest Holmes probably did 70 of them. But here we see, something from Psalm 100, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. And then from Ernest Holmes, my whole thought and feeling is one of praise, thanksgiving, and blessing. In Catherine Ponder says, in moments of praise and thanksgiving, we experience the fullness of the divine presence. Praise and thanksgiving, says Joel Goldsmith, are acts of faith that bring us into harmony with the divine order. Praise and thanksgiving are the keys to unlocking the divine potential within us. Emma Curtis Hopkins, one of the founders of New Thought. Praise and thanksgiving are the breath of the soul, drawing us closer to the divine. That's John Randolph Price, who, as many of you know, wrote the Abundance book. When we live in a state of praise and thanksgiving, we align ourselves with the creative power of the universe, says Louise Hay. No shortage of what would seem to be coincidental. And so it's so ubiquitous, the phrase praise and thanksgiving. It makes you wonder, why? Wouldn't the first sentence of that slide I show you have worked just by saying Thanksgiving is salutary? That works. That's true. Salutary just means of benefit to someone or something. Praise and thanksgiving, or thanksgiving is really an attitude of recognition. That works. But there's a reason why praise and thanksgiving are linked. Why it's like peas and carrots, like chicken and dumplings, like good and plenty. We see that phrase just like we see maybe chicken and dumplings, and we don't think about the ingredients in the dish. We think about the experience that is part of what praise and thanksgiving it begged me to reconsider my topic for today, which suddenly morphed away from Thanksgiving and more into the power of praise. I wanted to know and lift up why praise seems to always be an antecedent to Thanksgiving, meaning it comes right before. You usually hear praise and thanksgiving more than thanksgiving and praise. So I started asking myself the question, what does praise really mean? And who is praise really for? Ernest Holmes, and this was one of many definitions I found of praise, but I chose this one because as we are all good little metaphysicians in science of mind, he sort of speaks for us when he says, praise is the voice of affirmation that acknowledges the presence of the divine and celebrates its infinite goodness. Praise is always an affirmation. you'd be surprised how often you say something that is actual praise. When we claim something for ourselves that I live in an abundant universe and there's more than enough always, that is a statement of praise. God is good. That is a statement of praise. I enjoy perfect health. I'm in good relationships. I enjoy my life. These are all affirmations. They're statements of praise. We don't recognize it because, well, we've kind of been enculturated to think that praise is really, some kind of empty compliment. So when I think about who is praised for, we are continually saying, at least in my house growing up, I heard all the time, praise God. And the question does come up, does God need praise? Do we have the infinite all that there is, out of which everything is created, the infinite cosmic reality, to know its creations through itself, and then need strokes from us to remind it that it's doing a good job? Beautiful world, nice job, God. What happens if we don't praise God? It reminds me of when I was a kid, I saw there's this Twilight Zone adventure of this little boy named Anthony. He's 6 years old, and Anthony apparently has godlike powers, and on top of that, he can read minds. So all the adults around Anthony are scared to death of him because if you are not thinking good thoughts about Anthony, in the cornfield you're going to go. Who needs a supreme being like that? Who needs a creator? Of course, that isn't how it works. And yet, what is praise? How can we think about it in a way that makes sense? Well, I think of praise as a spark plug. It's a spark plug that ignites a movement in consciousness. So you can go ahead and click into that next one. It ignites a movement of consciousness in who? Not in God. God simply is. It ignites a movement of consciousness in you, in us, that allows you to go ahead and give thanks. And that thanksgiving, in turn, then energizes your ability to co-create with the infinite divine. Does that make sense, or am I going too fast? Because, that's why we're here after all. We are here to co-create with the divine. I was here a few weeks ago, and some of you may remember that I suggested to you that you forget yourselves. You forget who you are. You forget how powerful you are and how you have been anointed with power to speak your word and draw into your experience whatever. The keys to the storehouse have been already given to you. All you need to do is ask. But how does praise work? I mean, what is the dynamic that makes it so special as an antecedent to Thanksgiving? Well, let's try to walk through it a little bit. So first of all, praise, and we can put up that next praise slide. Praise enhances your awareness of the divine. There isn't a way to really offer praise without invoking God. I hope you know that. Whether you're admiring a sunset, whether you're being in deep appreciation for some good thing that has happened in your life, looking at your children, as long as you are in a positive mode, an affirmative mode of recognizing that thing, that event, that circumstance, you are in a mode of praise and you are enhancing your awareness that God is. It may not be like front and center, those words in front of you, but in your being. That's the song that's being sung. God is. God is. With every word of praise, I am simply saying God is. And what praise does next, and all of this happens in the twinkling of an eye, is that it raises your vibrational frequency through unity. Now, I need to take a minute to talk about this a little bit more. So, recognizing that God is just what it sounds like. It's recognition. And there is a special unity that happens when you realize I am one with God. I am not just some nameless entity that stumbled into this existence and, now I get to stumble around for as long as I'm here, never understanding why I'm here, never having any real purpose or direction, and then I'm out. That's not how it works. We are one with God. And once we have that firmly in mind, something happens to us. Where does it happen? Well, it doesn't happen here. Because in here, in your brain, you can make up any story. But in the feeling center, and that's why these slides that show the heart, what I'm really trying to say is this is not about your heart muscle, it's about the feeling center of your soul, because that is where you are in communion with the divine. The divine, as I've mentioned, doesn't speak English or Mandarin or Spanish or French or whatever language you happen to speak. It speaks the language of your soul. You are constantly singing a song to God. You are constantly offering something to God. And what does God say? God says yes. So when you offer any word of praise out loud or in your being, you are raising your vibrational frequency. Now, all that means is that, well, let's say you happen to be in a state of grief or fear or anxiety. Those are low vibrational states. They're easy to have, and they're kind of like tar. They're sticky, and they're an entrapment, and they're hard to think your way out of because there's too much evidence about whatever is going wrong, whatever is scaring us, whatever is, causing us to be in that low vibrational state. But once we know that God is and that we are one with God, something immediately happens. There is a shift. You can feel it at the center of your being when you say, God and I are one and God has this. You feel uplifted. You feel like you can take a breath and you can breathe again. All of this is what happens when we begin to praise. Praise also, and I love this word because it's not really my word, praise turbocharges your ability to co-create with God. Now, turbocharge, I probably never really knew what turbocharge meant. I'm not a mechanic. Just like I don't know what a spark plug does since everybody has electronic ignition nowadays. But that was a Dr. Andriette word. When I first met her, she was talking about, and you turbocharge your belief. And I was like, I do? Well, okay then. When you speak your word, knowing that God is, knowing your relationship with the divine, that you and God are one, and your vibration has been elevated, when you speak your word is spoken with such power, such definition. And when I say speak your word, I mean pray. When you call for that which you want in your life, your highest dream, your greatest yet to be, relief from whatever is going on, your word is turbocharged by the praise that you have already offered just by recognizing God is and that you are one with God. I hope you're sensing a pattern of where I'm going here, because praise also by itself cultivates gratitude. So you're admiring that sunset. You can't help but feel gratitude for the sunset that you see. But it's a curious thing about gratitude. It's difficult to claim gratitude for that which hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is possible. However, in our common way of thinking, when we feel thankful about something, we're thankful about what is. And that's what we are claiming. That's the word we are turbocharging. That which is true in God. That's what we're offering when we're praying. God is all good. There is more than enough in the universe. I live in an abundant universe. I have happy and safe relationships with people. I'm embraced wherever I go by friendship and love. All of this turbocharged word cultivates deep gratitude within us. You still with me? Okay. Because I sense that it can be kind of a lot. Now, when Reverend Marquita was here, she brought us, in talking about faith, she brought us this acronym, FAITH. Yeah, that was the one. You remember this one? Yeah. She said faith is full acceptance in the heart. Easy to remember and very true. When you have full acceptance that God is and that all is well and that is in your heart, it's all right to keep that up there for a while. I want you to get it. That it's important that when you have this acceptance of the goodness of God in the feeling center of your being, things are happening now. All of those sort of steps that I outlined for you a moment ago, all of that happens in a picosecond. Remember what I told you a picosecond was? 1/1 trillionth of a second. It's outside of time and space. It's a transformation that happens to you when you realize what God is and who you are in relation to that and the power that you hold. This is all I'm ever going to talk about, so just know that every time you see me, this is where we're going. But I was so enamored with Marquita's use of acronyms, I thought, well, I can do that. I can come up with an acronym. I'm going to come up with an acronym for praise. So I did. And my acronym for praise, if we click once, we're going to see that praise means positive recognition and inspired sacred elevation. Now, it doesn't roll as trippingly off the tongue. And it takes a little bit of unpacking. So let's unpack it a bit. So positive, what are we saying? We're saying that your statement of praise Any praise that you're giving, and you're giving praise all the time, remember that, it's affirmative. It's an affirmation. You hear us talking about the tools. When I say you hear us, you hear the practitioners and the ministers talking about the tools that we use to help turbocharge or empower our lives. Affirmations is one of those tools. You can't have a negative affirmation. I don't know what that is. It's a non sequitur of some kind. But praise is positive in that it is affirmative in its tone, and it's definite in your belief. That second part is extremely important. If you are spouting all the right words and saying your affirmations, God is all there is, I am abundant, I am healthy and well, whatever the affirmation is, and you don't believe it, guess what the universe says? Yes, I don't believe it too. It's a nullifying effect. If something isn't transpiring within you to cause that shift. So it needs to be positive enough and affirmative enough and definite enough in your own mind that you say, yes, I have no doubt that this is true. And it needs to recognize God, we went through that part, and the cosmic unity of God and you being one thing. It is really important not to get caught up in duality. This idea that, well, let's take forgiveness, so Reverend Marquita was talking about forgiveness. So you being, a great metaphysician yourself, and you know all the principles and how to use them, and you know that forgiveness is important. And so you forgive this of everything. You're secure. God is good. Life is wonderful. I am a child of God, and everything in life is excellent, except this one thing that happened in 1962. I remember it like it was yesterday, and them people need to be punished. Those institutions need to be corrected, or whatever it is. You cannot, you cannot be in a mode where you can claim what is true and be in a state of unbelief. You can't have faith that God is all there is and still hang on to unforgiveness. Conversely, let's see if we can turn it around. You can forgive, but if you don't believe that God's got your back and that you're safe, then your belief begins to erode. I think of it as sort of like two orbs of existence. There's your belief orb, and there's this, let me not try to make it too complex. I've got enough stuff going on with slides and everything else. So here's what I want to say. Let's go back to that praise slide, because I was in the middle of spelling out my affirmation. The R is the recognition of God and the cosmic unity of God and you. And in this case, and really is just a conjunction to make the acronym work. And inspired, praise inspires the movement of consciousness in your heart. It is the activating principle. That's why praise always comes before Thanksgiving. Something has to happen before you can be thankful, truly thankful in your heart. Otherwise, that's when we take things for granted, when that movement hasn't happened. Praise also needs to be held in a certain amount of sacred reverence and out of respect for your conscious connection with the divine. This is a sacred moment. This is something special. You and God are one, and you've been given power and authority to be the face of God here and now, and that you have the power through praise to elevate the frequency of spirit operating as you. So that's what I want to say about praise, but I also want to say, or tell a story that happened to me so many years ago. I'm glad I can still remember it. It involves people you know, too. Yeah. This goes back like 23 years. I had just begun attending East Bay Church, and I had already taken the foundations class, which many of you know is sort of the entry-level class that explains science of mind philosophy, and most especially teaches the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment, our prayer form that we use in this philosophy. And so in foundation, I mean, you kind of read about it and it's more theory. The next class that was offered was called Treatment and Meditation. And that class was taught by none other than Andriette Earl. She wasn't even Reverend Andriette Earl. She was practitioner Andriette Earl then. And I was in that class, and this was back before the days of Zoom and before the internet is what the internet is now. There wasn't any live streaming or anything like that. And so to take a class, you had to go somewhere and be in a classroom. And boy, did we have a classroom. There were like 100 people in this class. So Andriette, in her wisdom, said, I need to break this up. I need to put people in kind of like pods. So she separated us into pods of 10. So there were 10 pods of 10. The class was 10 weeks long at that time, I believe. And so what she wanted to have happen on every week is that one person out of each pod had to stand up and deliver a science of mind treatment. You have no idea how much that idea terrified me. I was not the person you see standing before you today. I was painfully shy of speaking in front of a group. I would have rather done anything, even a small group of 2 or 3 people. I just was reticent to have anything but a one-on-one conversation. So I was prayerful that I would be way back in the line somewhere. And, like 3, 4, 5 weeks went by, and it wasn't my turn. And on this one particular class meeting, I'm looking at my brother Robert. He was in that class. There was somebody in my pod who was it was his turn to actually deliver the prayer, and that person didn't show up at class. So when it came time for our circle, the person to deliver a prayer, like nobody was standing up. And Andriette was like, oh, come on now, you should be popping up like popcorn. Angelo, deliver the prayer. Yes, that's what I said, mercy. You know that phrase of your knees are knocking? That is apparently a real thing. And I remember literally my legs were shaking as I stood, and I felt all kinds of unbalance. And just like that, all 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment flew out of my head. I had no idea where to begin. There was this terrible silence, and everybody was looking at me. And I did the only thing I could do. I shut my eyes, And I said the first thing that came to my mind, and the first thing that came to my mind was this: the Lord is my shepherd. Little did I suspect that works. It's a statement of praise. It's a statement of recognition. God is. It's a statement of a unity, of a special relationship. God is with me. God is guiding me, protecting me. God's got this. I have no idea what I actually said, but I'm told that I delivered a spiritual mind treatment for the ages. By the time I was done, I was standing strong. I never had fear of speaking in front of a group again. And I remember as I sat down, somebody in my pod said, "Remind me to never go after him." This is the power of praise. All of those steps. Can we actually go back, because I think I neglected, go back to the praise slide that enhances your awareness of the divine, raises your vibrational frequency, turbocharges. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. The reason why I want to lift it up is because for you students of Science of Mind, that's a spiritual mind treatment. It's hitting all of the steps except the last one, which is amen. Thank you, God. That's the power of praise. Praise is prayer. No matter how brief your statement of praise is, it contains all of these points if you allow that vibration to rise up and exist as it should at the core of your being. So, what's what I want to say about all of this? I want to say that, Amy is back. Amy Steinberg offers something to us in this next song. She says, and you'll hear her say it, the best way to be thankful is to shine my light. So the reason why I wanted to say it before she said it is because shining your light means standing in your truth. Shining your light means being the best you can be, the best ally to a young person or anybody else, the best helper, the most loving and friendly, shining your light with your specific gift that only you can give. She said the best way to be thankful is to shine my light. When you shine, shining your gift, that in itself is your praise, glorifying the divine. I'm going to let her sing you through that. Thank you so much.
The best way I have found to be thankful and grateful is to shine my light. This is called Shine Be Glorious. Thank you for having me, heart and soul. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your light. I open my heart, even in the dark. The light of my God always shines bright, even in the night. Shine, be glorious, Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your light. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. I open my heart this miracle day. The love of my God gives me it all the good I can take. Hey, shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your light. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. You can sing that with me. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. The Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine.